All right, we should be live. Are we live? Are
We
we
are
up
live.
and running?
We
All
are
right,
live. We're up and running.
cool. All right, so let's talk about it. So we're here to talk Thursdays with Coach Brandi Nick and Coach Sharon. And today we are talking about
Forgiveness and the importance of forgiveness. It's something that sat really hard with me the other day because I was thinking about how being unable to forgive or holding on to things without forgiving, bitterness, anger, whatever, how much it affects our lives all the way around, mentally, physically, emotionally, the whole thing. And how there's a difference between forgiving and forgetting, how you can forgive somebody and still not want that to be a part of your life, whether it's a person or a thing, an event, whatever. And so I
no,
felt
it's
it was
true.
important to talk about.
Yeah, I think it's a good topic too, because a lot of us have struggles with forgiveness. You know, we hold on to that as a source of unnecessary stress that we really don't need to have in our lives.
Right.
So yeah, so I was trying to remember when you say you want to talk about it, I said, okay, well, where's the health connection? And start to understand that all of these things are interconnected and interlaced when you're talking about stress and the domino effect too. If you're holding on to this tension because you are not forgiving somebody, then you are actually causing pain to yourself by not forgiving that person. I think it's really key what you said about doesn't mean you have to forget. You still have to know that this incident happened or these things are happening, because that's the way that we learn. We learn through our pain. So we feel it, but we don't need to feel it constantly, right? We don't
Right.
need the triggers and all of that. We want to heal through that. And there's no way that we can heal if we don't forgive others, forgive ourselves even, right?
Exactly. So when I say that, like, I think when you mention the word forgiveness, people just assume it's about somebody else, but it isn't. I mean, it's not always. Yes, it can be, but it's also very much about us and carrying, not forgiving ourselves for a mistake, for an event, for whatever.
A lifestyle.
Right.
That you need to change
Anything.
now.
You hang on to it, right? You hang on to it, you hang on to it, you hang on to it. Again, nobody's saying that you have to forget about it, not learn from it, but not to go to that place where you're able to, you can't let it go unless you forgive. Okay. So somewhere between forgiving and allowing it to happen again, you can forgive without allowing it to happen again, especially when it comes to people. I know I have hung on to so much stress, so much anxiety by not forgiving, and it affects every single portion of your life.
So then
So
when you're trying to think about forgiving, what are some of the steps that we can take to really be able to forgive and then move past, past whatever we're holding on to?
I think
What do you
recognizing,
recommend?
I think that recognizing is the first thing. Okay, identifying. So what you have to do is you have to identify, okay, what is it that you're holding on to? What is it that's causing you this anxiety? Okay, so you identify it. And then you start to put it in perspective regarding your
Sorry, I'm
life.
distracted. I like to change your scenery. I know the phone was going off or something.
That's why I did that. I
But this is a
apologize.
good, no, this is a good view. We've got the trees and the air and the this is nice.
Yeah, I
Very
changed it
relaxing vibe.
the phone was going off. So I'm like, now you'll probably hear like cars going by and stuff like that. But at least I'm outside now. I don't know. For me, I had to identify what it is. I had to really take a good look. And I think that the way I identified it was, of course, something is going to happen in your life that's going to take you back to that place or that event or that person.
Yeah, a trigger,
Right.
right? They call it. Yep.
And then you identify, you get that feeling, you go, uh-oh, something's going on here.
Mhm.
I haven't allowed myself to release. I haven't allowed myself to forgive because it's still there. So
Right.
now I have to do what it takes to do to forgive, whether it's just recognizing that, okay, it's an issue and it's an issue that I don't choose to deal with anymore, but I
Mhm.
still have that one piece left. I still have to forgive, whether it's myself, whether it's the other person.
What if you're struggling with that, with knowing how to do it? So I get you start off with just recognizing what, you know, what the pain point is. And then you need to address that some kind of way. How do you move towards actually forgiving, right? Like, is it something that you're going to say out loud? Are you going to write it down that you forgive somebody or you forgive yourself? Are you going to confront that person and say, I forgive you? You know, like what's something that people can do to move towards forgiveness?
I
And
think
acceptance, I think, goes hand in hand, right? Forgiveness, like accepting this thing happened, that I didn't want to happen to me, or I did something, or, you know, and then so accepting that, and then also saying, okay, we're going to move beyond that through forgiveness, you know, through the act of forgiving.
And I think honestly, with me, it was just a matter of, not that it was easy, but it was a matter of knowing, just realizing when I had that trigger, realizing the way it made me feel, and realizing that unless I took those steps to do what I had to do to put it behind me, to forgive, it was never going to get any better. So I I don't choose to necessarily directly approach the person and say, I forgive you. I just need to know in my mind, in my heart, okay, this happened. I forgive you. No, I don't want you to be necessarily a part of my life, what
Right.
I'm doing, but I forgive what happened. And I am
Makes
not
sense.
going to allow that to happen to me, to set me off anymore. It's done.
Okay. Okay. And so now, like now when you have triggers for these things and you've forgiven, is that kind of like the test whether or not you react to the triggers in the same way, or whether or not you're able to just kind of be like, okay, that's happened, but I know that I've already forgiven and I've moved beyond that?
I think it takes, I don't think it's just a matter of saying it one time,
Mhm.
because I wish it was that easy. I wish it was that easy, whether it's meditation, prayer, whatever it is. Okay. The first time probably is not going to be the only time. You're going to
Mhm.
have it again. You're going to get those triggers again. You need to say to yourself, no, no,
Mhm.
I have forgiven. I haven't forgotten, but I have forgiven.
Yeah.
And that is now, I've got to let it go. This is now something that I can't carry with me anymore. I
Mhm.
have chosen not to carry it by forgiving. That's the only way I won't carry it, is if I can just forgive.
The
And it's
choice.
work.
Choice.
It's not that easy.
You have to make a hard, fast choice. I I'm not going to be living with this in my heart anymore. It's not going to bother me. So I like that a lot. You know, just the idea of moving beyond the stress by us having that power to just command, right? Because that's what you're talking about. You have a power to command, like, I'm going to forgive whoever it might be. I'm going to forgive them for this thing, and it's not going to have power over my life anymore. And having that happen, I guess, in the mind and in the heart first, and
Right.
then having it then relate to how you physically respond to triggers when you face them.
I think it's almost like, how many times have we discussed habit change, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I almost feel like it kind of goes into that, because
Mm-hmm.
you felt that way, those triggers are going to make you feel that way again. And that's going to keep happening until you do something to get past that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you make a change.
Yep, you have
So,
to break the cycle and then insert something else, some new sort of reaction, some new thing that you're going to do, some new feeling that you're going to try to command, instead of
Right.
this old feeling that you had, but you have to be cognizant of it first.
Right.
Yeah, that's a lot of, that's a lot of brain power to be able to say that. There's a lot of processes that happen in order to make forgiveness happen in the way that you're talking about. It's not a passive, oh, I forgive you. It's active, and and I also think that it's protective, and it's but at the same time, it just relieves you of that stress. And why hold on to extra stress, especially knowing what stress does to our minds, our bodies, and our souls in the long run. We definitely don't need to be holding on to any of that lower energy, lower vibrational energy, for the long run, because it doesn't do us any good, and definitely doesn't set us on, on our pathway to life excellency. It just doesn't.
Exactly. And honestly, it really is like I said to you, it's work, right? It's almost like you have to change a habit. But when you do it, it's so freeing. Mm-hmm. When you can honestly say, you know what, I don't care anymore because I've forgiven and I've let it go.
Yeah.
It's so freeing. It's like, okay, I don't feel that way anymore. I don't feel that stress. My heart doesn't feel heavy anymore because I have actually been able to let it go. That was work. But you know what? Like any kind of change, like any kind of habit change, you know what? Holding on to negativity or anger against a person and not forgiving is a bad habit.
Yeah.
So I just felt like that was important. I wanted to talk about that only because I've been seeing it so much, and I've been working really hard at it, and I've actually seen a change in my reaction to things, and it's pretty amazing. It didn't happen overnight. It took like a year.
Yeah.
I wish I could say it was easy. It was a process, but boy, oh boy. So it's an important process. That's why I want to discuss it. Forgiveness is important.
Well, thank you for bringing that topic up in our Talk Thursdays. I think that's really it does hit home. It does hit home. There's a lot of us that need to forgive, or that try to forgive and have a really hard time with that. And I think you being honest and saying that it took you a year. Sometimes it takes people more, depending upon what happened. Sometimes it takes people longer to really forgive. I know I have a couple of things that still kind of get under my skin. That I'm kind of like, I said I forgive you, but like, is my physical reaction when I'm triggered, is that something that that represents that forgiveness, or is it something that indicates something else? So I think that's always good to be in tune with what you're saying versus how your body is responding and how you're feeling, so you can really know, am I saying this, or am I, do I still have more work to do? And if so, what does that work look like? I think that it looks different for everybody. But I think that there are certain things that we can say when we're generalizing it. We know that the work involves you making a conscious choice, right?
Absolutely.
We also know that the work involves you doing something to disconnect the physical reaction from those emotions, right, that come up, right, to disconnect that. We know there needs to be a break in between, and there needs to be an introduction of something else where the feeling is different. So we know that what those things are is going to be a little bit different. The mechanisms to which people arrive at that point is going to look different, I think, from person to person. But if you've got some hate or some some tension in your heart, some stress in your body, that's sitting there because of something that you just have not been able to get past, or you haven't been able to forgive somebody, you'd be doing yourself a huge favor You know, and in a very real way. It's not just oh, you're going to do yourself a favor. It's like, no, you these things have consequences in the real world when you make these changes, you know, because
And I,
sometimes we get, you know, we start talking about you know, forgiveness and gratitude and all these things. And they feel like these big concepts that don't have real applications in the world. You know, they just kind of feel like fluff, you know, to some people. They can't really pinpoint what that means. But if you can really grasp it and have it be tangible to you, so you know what it feels like in the body, what does that stress feel like in the body, and does it feel different when it comes from this source or that source, then you can start to change those things. You know, when you have some physiological you know, symptoms and things like that. So what do you change? You change your physiology, you change the way that you talk, you change your posture, you change your thinking and behavior.
and you know what? Something else just clicked with me, and it's really, it's actually, I guess, kind of petty, but not really. If for no other reason, if you're really having a hard time forgiving, just think to yourself, well, this person that I'm holding this anger against, they're winning because
Mhm.
I still have this anger in my heart and I'm unwilling to forgive. And guess what? They're going about their day and they don't care about anything, right?
That's
So
right. That's
so
right.
they end up winning, and the only loser when you don't forgive is, right, us.
Absolutely. And that's a great note, I think, to end on. I love that. This is such a good conversation. So next week we'll have another conversation with you on Talk Thursdays. Coach Sharon, always a pleasure. Everybody else, our Fit New Lifers, listen, talk to us. Let us know if anything here resonated with you. Let us know if you have any ways that you are getting over situations and that you are forgiving either somebody else or that you're forgiving yourself. We all can learn from each other. So we open that up to our community. All right. Well, everybody, I guess, have a